Hello everyone, this is Kayla from Wichita State University. I'm going to walk us through Social Media 101 today. I'm really excited to work on this with you. I did want to let you know that this is the basics, and a lot of you may be far beyond what we're going to talk about today. I'm trying to incorporate a bit of the more intermediate and technical things that I hope will be helpful to you, but please know that there will be more information forthcoming in the form of Social Media 102. All right, if you don't know me, my name is Kayla Paul Moore. I have a master's in English, and I work as a content manager at Wichita State University's Community Engagement Institute. Before I did this, I owned a small business that managed online platforms for other small businesses. So I would help design websites and content for those websites, plan and execute social marketing strategies, etc. While I've been here at WSU for about a year and a half, I've worked mainly on the Kansas Prevention Collaborative contract, helping organize communications with coalitions throughout the state, working on our website, and several other things. So the first question today, why use social media? For a while, it seemed like maybe it was a fad that would pass and we wouldn't really need to dive into it, but the fact of the matter is that social media is here to stay. Facebook has 1.9 billion unique monthly users, Instagram has 600 million, Twitter has 317 million, and YouTube has 1 billion. So all of these people are hanging out on these social media sites all the time anyway. So if we want to reach them, we need to really focus our efforts on these things. As we're talking about creating social media accounts and social media strategies, I thought it was really important that we took it right down to the basics and start with the plan. Before doing anything else, you need to know who you're talking to and what your message is. Once you know those things, you can move on to building your platform, determine which of the social media outlets or channels suit your need, and then start connecting with your community and analyzing the data that comes in through those connections. Everything begins with a plan. So when you are coming up with your plan, the first thing to think about are your goals. I recommend sticking with 3 goals, no more than 3 goals, but you could have fewer. You could start with just 1 goal, that would be fine. Focus on what you want to accomplish and ask yourself what success will look like. So you want to know what your goal is, but you also want to know what it will look like if you succeed. And then take that goal and think about who you're talking to. Again, no more than 3 audiences per goal. Find out where the audiences are spending their time online, and then what you want them to do with those messages. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a moment, but when you think about who you're talking to, remember that you want to shape your message to suit the age group. So if you're trying to reach parents, you're going to use a different message than you would use if you're trying to reach young people. If you're trying to create buy-in with stakeholders, you're going to use a different message than you would when you're talking to adults or parents or caregivers. So there's a couple things you need to consider. Just make sure that you're very clear on what your goals are and who you're talking to. And this is a little format that I use when I come up with social marketing strategies or communication plans. And all this is a table created in a Word document. And I start with my goal there on the left-hand side. And then next to that, I put my messages. There's usually, not always, but there's usually more than one message to go with the goal. And you can see at the very top, my audience is up there, social marketing strategy, families. So this is for the family audience. The focus is more on adults for this. So I have my goal, the messages I want to use, and then the call to action. So what do I want families to do with the messages that we're providing them? And then finally, in that far right column, is the list of channels. Based on our research, what channels are appropriate to reach families, what's most useful for them, where do they find most of their materials, etc. So now we'll get down to the who. Who is using these social media outlets? This is some research done by the Pew Research Center. They do a lot of different kinds of research. As you can see here, Facebook is still the top. social media outlet. Both men and women use it. Ages 18 to 29, 88% of people who are on social media ages 18 to 29 use Facebook. So it's really good for reaching that age group. And even as you look a little bit older, you can see that there's still a significant number of people who are on Facebook. Also keep in mind that when we're talking about data, they don't collect social media data, as far as I know, on ages like 11 to 17. It's a little harder to come by. Now, if you'll move over to Instagram, there you can see that 59% of people ages 18 to 29 who are online use Instagram. This is also a great tool and one that I highly recommend. We're going to skip Pinterest and LinkedIn because neither of those are really appropriate for coalitions. LinkedIn certainly is not appropriate for a coalition. Pinterest could be if you were compiling lists of resources or something like that. You could easily make a board within Pinterest and put all the resources there. But other than that, it's really not something that coalitions need to pour a lot of time into. And then Twitter, we've got 36% of 18 to 29-year-olds using Twitter. Twitter is something we'll talk about a little bit. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are the three that I recommend, but of those three, Facebook and Instagram I think are the most important. Looking at how often these people are on their social media accounts, you can see Facebook. About 75% of the people who use Facebook visit it daily. 50% of people who use Instagram visit it daily, 40% for Twitter, and so on. So it's important when you're posting to be consistent because people are visiting pretty frequently, especially when you're talking about a Facebook page. The suggested frequency for posting to these social media outlets, for Facebook, it's 1 to 3 times per day. Instagram is once a day, and Twitter is 8 to 24 times per day. That's one of the reasons that I don't necessarily recommend Twitter for coalitions or people who don't have a lot of resources or time resources, because that's a huge time investment, posting 8 to 24 times a day. Again, when I'm discussing this with people, I do want to note that typically I just recommend sharing on weekdays, so Monday through Friday. You can also share on the weekends, but it's not always necessary. Not a lot of people spend a great amount of time on social media on the weekends. And then here, when we're talking about doing all of those postings, there's some help for those things. One of them is buffer.com, and it supports Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and some other sites. It's free. It's the one that I use. When you use buffer.com, you create an account, and then you can sign into your social media pages and accounts from there. So that when you are posting, you can just go to Buffer and you can post to all of your accounts. You can schedule posts far in advance. So if someone in your coalition had time on the weekends to schedule posts, they could go in and schedule social media posts for the rest of the week. This just makes it a little easier to manage your accounts and the frequency of posting and to be consistent. Hootsuite is another free resource. There's more limitations in Hootsuite than there are in Buffer as far as the free profile goes, but both of them are great resources. All right, Facebook. Facebook supports pages, groups, paid advertisements. There's easy contact and donation links. You can share links and images. We're going to look here together at the Kansas Prevention Collaborative Facebook page. This button right here, you can make it any number of different things. If we go to Edit button, I have it linked to our newsletter subscription form on our website, but if you go down here to other options, you can choose any different number of things. I had someone ask about getting donations through social media, and that's something that you can do on Facebook. It's important when you're designing your Facebook page, your professional Facebook page, that all of the images are the correct size. That's a dead giveaway that a page is not run professionally when the image doesn't fit, or it's smashed, or it just doesn't look professional. In the list of resources that I will give you at the end of this presentation. I have included dimensions as well as a tool, a free tool that you can use. It's right here. It's called Canva. It's a free tool that you can use to resize your photos and make sure that everything looks professional. You can receive messages through Facebook. It's also important in your about that you have some way for people to contact you. You have a little bit about what you're doing, or at least a link to where people can find out more about what you're doing. We opted to have the website on here so people can just go directly to our website. If you don't have a website, Facebook page is a really great place to share a bit of your story, like you can see here. To enable people to contact you, they can send you messages, to put your email or your phone number or other means by which people can contact you. It's also a great way to introduce, the people working for you. You can put your team members in there. So if your coalition isn't necessarily ready to build a website, Facebook is a really great place to start for that. It's also easy to share Facebook links, and people are so familiar with a Facebook platform that they will have no problem finding you and sharing the work that you're doing. Next on our list is Twitter. Twitter has just one kind of account, and I call them pages. I'm not really sure that there's a more technical term for them, but when you own a Twitter account, you can, on your phone, sign into other Twitter accounts. So if you are managing your coalition's Twitter feed, you can go into your app and make it to where you can switch back and forth between the accounts. Just be careful, because sometimes it makes it easy to post to an account that you did not intend to post to. You can also do paid advertisements on Twitter. There's link sharing and image sharing. I have a Twitter, but there's just so much work that needs to be done in order to use Twitter effectively. You really need to be posting, like it said earlier, 8 to 24 times a day. Twitter is such a big outlet that there's so much noise. It's very important when you're using Twitter to use hashtags like these over here, because people can find your tweets easier. I did just want to show you guys what the profile looks like in case you're not familiar with it. You can see my image, following, it's the people I follow, the people who follow me. It gives, just a basic feed of what your images are. You're going to see pictures of my daughter and my dog, because that's all that I post about. When you tweet, it is constrictive as far as character count. There's 140 characters allowed in a tweet. You can share links. I do recommend shortening links, and one of the resources I included for you is bit.ly.com. And this is all that this does is shorten links. So if I were to take a long link like this one and paste it in here, it would shorten it for me, and then I could copy and paste it into a tweet so it took up less space. We'll talk a bit about hashtags here in a minute as well. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see that you can view the latest data around your tweets. I don't tweet very often, so this isn't a good representation of what's possible. If you're posting all the time, you do have an opportunity to get your tweets seen a lot. That doesn't mean that people will engage with them, and that's the difference between these numbers here. This number, impressions, means 171 people saw this tweet. 11 different people engaged with it, so they clicked on it or they clicked like or something like that. You can see your information over a long period of time as well. And this is also available in Facebook, and this is something we can cover more in the future as well, just as far as how to interpret the data. But if you go to Insights on your page, you can see a bit about what your reach is. Again, that's how many people are seeing your posts, not necessarily interacting with them. This right here is post engagement, so 336 people engaged with our posts in the last week somehow. And then you can go and see on the individual posts what the data is, just like you can on Twitter. So that's important information in the future, just to help you get a good idea of what type of content is successful for the people in your community and what isn't, because it really is different for every community and every audience. I'll be able to give you some basic ideas of what people might like, and your research online will give you some ideas, but each community is unique, and it will take a little bit of time to figure out what your community wants from your social media. Instagram is also an outlet that I recommend. It supports pages, groups, paid advertisements. You cannot share links on Instagram. You can share one link on your profile, but it is a great visual representation of what you're doing as well. When I say you can share one link, I mean right here. So if you were to post a picture and say, hey, we have a new information up, you would have to put in that post see or link in profile or something like that, so that they know that they can come to your profile and find the link. Someone asked a question about having business pages on Instagram, and that is definitely possible. You'll just want to click on this little wheel here, and it will pull up all your options. And down about halfway down, you can switch from a personal account to a business account. Mine is a business account because I'm a writer, and it helps me analyze the people who are looking and what kind of content is successful. So anytime that you switch your coalition's account to a business account, if for some reason that doesn't work for you, you can always switch it back. But really, it operates much the same as a personal account, except that you can collect more data and also do paid advertisements. This is what an Instagram post looks like when you're a business account. You see the little blue promote button there. So if you did a post for your coalition and you wanted to promote it, it's very quick there. And you can also view the insights. So who is looking at this, how are they interacting with it, etc. In our tips and tricks here, I really wanted to talk to you about hashtags, because hashtags are very important, especially when we're talking about Instagram and Twitter. They're essentially search terms or keywords that help people find your posts, people who are looking for content that matches yours. My recommendation is to use sparingly and place within the text of the post when possible. So if you look here at this tweet, you can see that she's used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hashtags, but 5 of those are part of the actual message of her tweet. So it doesn't feel cumbersome because it's not a long list of hashtags at the end. Also, when you're posting in Twitter, I do recommend shortening the links using bit.ly like I showed you. Again, that resource will be on the resource page that I give you at the end of this. And then when you post to Facebook, I just want to show you really quick. Let's say we're going to share something in Facebook, and we go in here and write something cool, and we share this cool link. It says fetching preview there. Well, once the preview fetches, we can go ahead and delete the link and share it that way. And that way we don't have that cumbersome link showing up in our Facebook post. That's just a tip that I highly recommend everyone use in their social media, because it cleans up your posts and it makes them nicer to look at and easier to share. All right, all of that was a lot of information, and I know that it's very basic. There's really so much that we could go into. Some ideas that I have for Social Media 201 is running ads on social media, evaluating analytics, capitalizing on YouTube, and why your website is important. I have included some resources in the PDF I'm going to send you to help with monetizing your YouTube account, and some preliminary information on running ads on your social media, just in case you're at that point already. I also want you to know that I am available. If you have questions, you can feel free to call me or email me. We also have some great modules that were created by DECA that I'm going to include in the follow-up email, so you have access to those and can pull them up anytime you want. My final recommendation for anyone who is starting their social media journey as a coalition is to start with one and then expand as you feel comfortable. You don't have to have a website to have social media. You can cultivate a great social media presence without a website. Focus on your community, on the people closest to you, reaching them with the things that matter to them. And I think that you'll find that your community grows pretty quickly. Thank you all so much for your time.